welcome to another episode of the Animoguls. I'm the masterful Megabucks.
And I'm the taciturn Tycoon.
Today on the Animoguls, we're going to continue to try and solve the ultimate Disney mystery. Where the heck did all the Disney mothers go anyway?
Yeah, and why aren't they around anymore? Did they all die in childbirth? Or are some of them in witness protection?
Since we don't have much to go on, I think we should just make up our own theories. I'm looking here. Belle, they don't mention her mother either. Sleeping Beauty, her parents are actually both alive, but she wasn't raised by them. And Rapunzel has the same problem. So if you're a Disney character and your parents are alive, they don't get to raise you. I mean, Hercules? Both of his parents were alive too, but they didn't get to raise him either. Coincidence? I think not.
And Rapunzel's parents, with all due respect, didn't put much effort into looking for her. They kinda seemed to give up really quickly. Yeah, they'd throw a lantern or two out there once a year. They moved on.
What's really weird is that they didn't try to have more kids. I mean, how is the succession of the kingdom gonna work? They should have stepped up to the plate. The magical flower even healed the queen, so previous medical issues are no excuse. But instead of trying again, the king spends most of his time crying. And the queen wasn't into that. All that weeping was a major turn-off.
You know what I think? The king didn't want to lose the queen. He didn't want her to suffer the same fate as Cinderella and Jasmine's moms. I mean, the queen nearly died in childbirth when she was having Rapunzel. He just doesn't want to risk it. Sure, they got lucky the last time, because the guards found the magical golden flower and saved the day, but what if something goes wrong again? That flower was the last of its kind. If there had been more, Mother Gothel would have stolen that instead of stealing little Punzie and becoming a first-time mom. I mean, think about it from the king's perspective. His first kid was kidnapped. He and his wife spent all this time and effort during a difficult 9-month pregnancy, and they got nothing to show for it. The whole thing was a dud. So he's thinking, it wasn't worth it. Let's just see the world. Let's go travel together.
One birth per movie. No freebies. That's the rule. With Ariel, they made up this really horrible story in those really crappy sequels about how her mom was eaten by a fish eater or whatever. I mean, that's not what I imagined happening to Ariel's mom at all.
My theory is that Ariel gets her adventurous spirit from her mom. Now, in the past, maybe her mom was being too daring, you know? She got caught by a human family and they had her for dinner. And that's why Ariel's dad was so afraid to send her above the sea. The real reason he hates the humans is because they took his darling wife away. Wait, is that the real story?
Yeah, that's the real story of the sequel.
That's a great story.
The problem is the execution, though.
Well, the execution was all wrong, but I'm down with that story. Otherwise, you don't really know why Triton is so mad at the humans. I mean, what did they ever do to him?
But going back to the Disney moms, if you look at Tiana, they did a lot of things right. When she was a child, they show her spending a lot of time with her dad. And when he dies, because they actually had a history, it was sad. And it's interesting because her mom actually survives. So Tiana is a lone wolf in that her mom lives, but her father dies. This kind of mirrors real-life statistics that show women, on average, tend to live longer than men. Now, it would have been nice to see Tiana interact more with her mom when she was a kid. When both her parents were alive, she seemed like she was a lot closer to her dad, which basically mirrors the average Disney parent-daughter relationship. Although those girls had to love their fathers more, because their moms weren't around to compete for the Parent of the Year award.
I feel especially bad for Nemo, from Finding Nemo. I mean, Nemo doesn't just lose his mom, he also loses like 500 siblings. There was a mass genocide, and he was the lone survivor. It was good that he survived so he could keep his dad company.
Marlin was a worrywart anyway.
And he probably became a bigger worrywart so he wouldn't lose Nemo. Nemo pretty much has the same story as Ariel. You know, these fish beings, they really need to watch out, because the humans are gonna get them.
I think the most normal Disney child was Mulan. She had a dad, she had a mom, they both raised her. It all happened like it does in real life for the average person. I mean, Mulan grew up with them. She actually knows them. Plus, both of them are still alive by the end of the movie. It's amazing.
And Mulan also had a really normal relationship with them. You know, I mean, Mulan's parents were like many parents who have really high expectations, but for whatever reason, their kids have a tough time meeting those standards.
See, Mulan almost lost her dad to the war. So the whole movie is about Mulan stopping her dad from becoming another Disney statistic.
Exactly.
While a lot of these Disney characters end up orphaned, Megara is the only one who seems like she grew up on the streets. She's street smart, you know, she kind of raised herself.
Hercules is the opposite of Megara. Because he doesn't have just one set of parents, he has two sets. He's got two gods up on Mount Olympus, there's Hera and there's Zeus. And then, of course, there are the mortal parents.
Yeah, and Petrion and his wife.
I'm always wondering, how would the big first meeting between both sets of parents have gone down? Would Zeus and Hera thank the human parents for raising their kid?
Or will Amphitryon and his wife thank Zeus and Hera for blessing them with a child?
And are they going to share custody? But I guess Hercules is 18 now, so he can make his own decisions. But who's going to sign those parental consent forms? And who's he going to put down as his emergency contact?
Probably Meg, to save on paper and confusion.
That would probably be a good idea. Now, in Anastasia, we see both of her parents in the beginning.
And her sisters.
Yeah, her parents, her sisters, and her little bro. They're all one big happy family. They have their Christmas dinners, and then, before you know it, in the blink of an eye, she only has her granny to rely on. And now, not even that. So she pretty much raises herself in that orphanage.
She also gets memory loss. But later in the movie, when she remembers who she is and where she comes from, she gets back her memories of her family. So even if the audience never got to know them, Anastasia remembers them.
It does suck though, because again, the focus of the flashbacks is her dad. In her daydream, she and her dad have this father-daughter dance in the Winter Palace. Yeah, her siblings are there too, for half a second. But they're just the opening act. I'm not even sure if they showed her mother in that scene. She never even got one speaking line. The Tsar, on the other hand, had a couple of lines in the movie at least. Like when he tells Rasputin to go to hell. And later, when Anya is dreaming about her family, he's the one who says, "Come on in, sunshine. The water's fine." None of the others talk. And as usual, the mom is shown the least. I guess Anastasia was always much closer to her grandmama.
You're right, Tycoon. I don't even remember what Anastasia's mother looks like. She was probably just a carbon copy of her daughter. Now in The Swan Princess, they kind of turned the tables, where Derek's only got a mom, while Odette's only got a dad. In fact, many people ship Queen Huberta and King William.
Honestly, I thought Huberta had more chemistry with Rogers.
Look, Huberta's got chemistry with everyone, but she and Rogers make a great couple.
But I think if Odette and Derek's parents had hooked up, it would have been problematic. Because then they would have been step-siblings, and the situation would have gotten hairy.
But not for long, since King William dies 5 minutes into the first movie, and his death vanquished the hopes and dreams of Huberta-William shippers everywhere.
That concludes Disney Moms Part 2. If you missed last week's episode, click on the annotation to watch Disney Moms Part 1. Thanks for watching the Animoguls.